Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Racing Bros NASCAR podcast, number 18. So we're Kyle Busch this episode. But anyways, bringing you another episode that we're going to be talking all things NASCAR. We're going to be reviewing Sonoma weekend, talking about everything that happened during the race, talk about how Larson dominated again, answer some questions. And we're going to be talking some news that happened during this week. And, speculate on some rumors that we might have heard on the old Twitter. And then we're going to preview the All-Star race. So, you can't wait for that. Racing for $1 million. Anyways, I'm with my co-host, Brian. Brian, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm good, Zach. How are you?
You know what? I'm not bad. Not bad until the weekend when the All-Star race comes on, and then I'm going to be pretty bad. We'll get into that later, though, because we're going to be talking all things Sonoma. So this is actually a fun fact. This is actually the first race me and Brian watched in person together. I went to his homeland, and we watched the race and had a nice meal, shared some laughs, had fun during the Sonoma race. So this is our first together, note-taking session. So, we're going to bring the dominant notes, instead of those trash notes we usually bring.
Saying that as if there was a whole lot to really take notes on.
Some things happen.
Yes, some things did happen. You're right.
Like Michael Jordan showed up, and then Ricky Stenhouse hit the wall.
Yep.
That's about it,
The tire hit the wall. Yeah, right. That's about it.
I'm just kidding. There's a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Do you want to get into it first, or you want me to kind of take over?
I could start because I know you have a little bit more notes on the package and everything. So, I'll get the little stuff out of the way, and then you can go on with that.
All right. So, because you're a child and don't know real thoughts, got you. I'm just kidding.
Okay. Anyhow, so as we all know, it's another Larson-dominated race. Kind of not surprised at this point. Chase wasn't doing too bad, so it was making Hendrick still look as good as we hoped this year.
Right.
Then, as we talked about already, Stenhouse blew his tire, hit the wall early in, I believe, stage 1. Larson wins stage 1 and stage 2. Not a ton of surprise there.
Yep, swept the stages, back-to-back weeks.
Crazy. Just absolutely crazy. Quinn Hoff with an early retirement with a broken car. I don't think we figured out right away what it was, but I know they were talking about it could have been a belt. And then he just blew it.
I listened to it was radioactive. It was something in the rear end.
Gotcha. Okay.
So his rear end was getting touched. And then he blew it up. So he had a, Taco Bell special, essentially.
Yeah. So then there was that which which wrote out a caution. Helped everybody on the lead lap get new tires, get fresh for pretty much the end of the race. But I mean, obviously there was going to be a couple more pit stops in between then. Then going around turn 11, we had quite a big pileup with Corey LaJoie braking hard, causing Ross Chastain to hit him in the rear and spin him.
Well, he really arced it in. So he was turning right for that Taco Bell special, and then Ross Chastain was already in line, and he's like, "Don't cut me, sir," and he just ran in the back of him. It was a classic turn 11 pileup we see at Sonoma. So
yeah, it was quite the pileup too. I mean, we had Kevin Harvick, William Byron, Alex Bowman, Eric Jones, and there was another car I believe that was in there too, but didn't
Byron?
have damage.
Did you say Byron or Harvick?
I did say Byron. Yeah, and Harvick. Yeah.
And then Bowman.
And Jones.
Yeah, Eric Jones, but most of them.
That might have been it.
Yeah, except for Byron, really.
Right. And then the probably the weirdest incident that ended up happening with Cody Ware having a wheel hop, going over one of the chicanes and hitting Ryan Preece in the back.
Well, okay, so actually
His
it was DiBenedetto hit Priest and sent him into the dirt, and then Priest just went, like, joined in the middle of the track while Ware was going through the S's, so, we,
all right, and he pushed him wide a little bit.
yeah, well, he just kind of sat there, and then Ware was, like, going through the S's and stuff, and he had nowhere to go. He was right in the middle. So, we like to rag on Rick Ware and stuff, but I don't blame Cody Ware. Just kind of Priest joined at wrong place, like, wrong
Right.
time, and Ware just, full on gassing through the S's, so, yeah, I don't know.
And then he smacked the wall pretty hard.
Yeah, something in the right front must have broke, because he did, hit the wall pretty hard.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't seem to have any traction after he hopped over the curb there. So
Right.
that definitely did not help. And then one of the last things that I caught was Chris Bell spinning post restart, and he caught a bit of craziness in the field with multiple cars off track. Luckily, nobody crashed, nobody got hurt, nothing like that.
Oh, the 38 hit him. Oh,
It wasn't enough to retire him. I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, but
It was just a little bit of damage.
Got a really bad finish, though.
Yeah. And yeah, that's
Yeah, it was
the biggest one of my notes there.
right. It was a Larson dominated event. There's some pile-ups and stuff. The classic Turn 11 pile-up looked basically like Corey LaJoie was on older tires, trying to pull some strategy out of his ass. And Ross Chastain and all the cars behind him had fresher tires, so Ross could dive in deeper. And I guess Corey LaJoie just turned right too late, and really Ross had nowhere to go. I like how he made a shortcut, like, across the fucking turn. I don't think that's legal, but hey, who's going to call it on him? But, yeah, it was a Larson-dominated event. I mean, Chase Elliott and Truex, we can say, are probably the two best road racers, like, on the circuit. And they had nothing for Larson all day. Like, Larson was at least half a tenth better every lap than Chase or Truex. So the only way Chase could even get up to Larson was, like, maybe a restart or something, or if he had fresher tires. Just nothing they could do. Larson had the field pretty much set all race long.
And crazy enough about this race is this. I mean, obviously this was Kyle Larson's best Sonoma finish. But he only had one top 10 before this. And before the 57 laps that he led in this race, the only thing he led before was 11 laps.
Yeah.
So it's not like he was winning Sonoma every time he was there.
He was pretty bad at road courses.
Yeah.
Like, he would have, like, qualifying speed, but sometimes he would, like, outrun the equipment or run it too hard. And he wouldn't really get good finishes at road courses until this year. Like, Daytona road course, he was up there. He was battling the top 5 late in the race, and then made a mistake and kind of hit the wall. Probably should have won Coda. I mean, if we're being honest, he probably would have won. But rain came and saved Chase's ass right there. And then Sonoma, I know Chase is a little weaker at Sonoma. Like, Sonoma's not his best road course. So I knew it was either Truex or probably even Larson, to be honest, because Larson's just been fast all year no matter where. But I thought, Chase would have something, a little something for Larson, but it's not the case at all. Larson just had the field pretty much almost lapped, Just no one had anything for Larson. And yeah, that was pretty much the race, to be honest. Some crazy restarts at the end, some pile-ups, and then Suarez and McDowell were going at it at the end, kind of battling. Looked like McDowell kind of hit Suarez off the track, cost him a couple positions. And then Suarez at turn 11 did not like that, so he punted McDowell, and McDowell finished late 20s. I don't know exactly where he finished, but yeah, that was Sonoma. Good race, I think. We should do our ratings. Oh, and then so we'll update championship. So right now, Brian's still in the lead by like 100 or so points. 95, if you want to be exact. Brian has 544 points, and I have 449. This week I made some gains, though. He picked Blaney, who finished 10th. Didn't get any stage points, so Brian got 27 points this week. And I picked Kyle Busch. He got some pretty good stage points. He's up towards top 5, ran good. Just not a winning car. He got 44 points, so we gained 17 points. Need a lot more weeks to that if I'm going to try to catch Brian. So hopefully I can catch him and make him maybe interesting at the end. But yeah, I'm still 95 points back, so maybe I can make something on the championship ground. I know we haven't really been updating the championship through these episodes. Just wanted to give you guys, a little update of a friendly competition. And yeah, so this race I thought was pretty solid. As always, I wish stage cautions would go away on road courses, because I'm watching an older season of NASCAR in my personal life. I'm watching 2005 because I just like watching old seasons, just watching races. It's weird to see stuff from there and then look at stuff now. But yeah, that's what made those road courses so interesting, was the strategy. Someone could not take tires, or stay out longer, or undercut the field and stuff. Maybe try to go all the way on gas, try to save some fuel and stuff. It always made those road courses more interesting. I think road courses, are kind of dampened by the fact that we don't really have that strategy, unless, you're looking at, getting stage points. It's basically, you got to either choose for stage points or get the best finish in, the next stage or stage 3. So I hate that. I just wish it would be they get the points for the stages, but no cautions on road courses. But I don't think they'll do that, because they got to get their commercial breaks in and TV stuff and blah blah blah. I wish they would, take away the cautions. I wish we didn't have stages at all, but it's a whole other topic. Maybe we'll get on the off season, but not now during the season. Anyways, I give this race a 70. I thought it was pretty solid. Like the low downforce package. I wish they went to the older layout instead of the carousel now. I don't think it really adds much to the race. I think it kind of dampens it as well, but it was a pretty solid race, even though Larson dominated the event. I thought it was pretty intriguing, and I was watching the whole way through. So I'm going to give it 70 out of 100. Pretty solid race. Would watch again.
I give it about the same. It wasn't the best race. It wasn't the worst race. Nothing I'd really change about it, except for maybe a couple more fights for the lead. But as we've seen so far this year, Larson's he's just got it. Right now, him and Truex are 3 for 3. They both have 3 wins this season. It's incredible. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We thought that, there's going to be 16 different winners, but if this keeps up, there's a possibility there won't be 16 different winners. Of course, there's still a lot of races left, so you can't necessarily say that, but
right.
It'll be interesting to see how the rest of this goes.
Only 10 more to the playoffs.
Right.
So, yeah, we'll see how the season plays out. So next week, no points paying race, the All-Star race. We're still going to preview it. Let's just get it out the way. So we're going to get it out. We're going out of order than we usually do, but we're just going to preview the All-Star race. It's at Texas. It's got some weird formats. I think they're 15 lap sessions and stuff, 5 or 6 of them. So it's going to be a lot of 550 horsepower package restarts, which is maybe the best thing of this package that they can do at Texas, because we know with the repave, the racing hasn't been always great. So maybe the shorter segments will help, restarts, action. People will be going a little wild and stuff. We'll see that. But I think the favorite, we're going to take picks, but, it's not going to be points because it's not a points-paying race. Pick Larson. Like, it's, how can you not pick the man? It's been fast all year. But, yeah, I think, it'll be intriguing to see how the short segments and then the inverts, do in the race. So, I guess it'll be, interesting to see that and, what these guys will do for $1 million. So, I'm going to take Larson for the All-Star race, and I would explain the segments to you, but honestly, I don't really understand it myself. So, we'll see together, I guess. Hopefully it gets explained during the broadcast. Oh, another thing to bring up, this is Fox's last race of the year. So we're going to switch to NBC after this race. And we'll see how NBC does.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty interesting. As for the pick, I mean, this will be my first time watching the All-Star race at all, as in, like, live. I never watched the All-Star races prior live, even though I did watch. I watched a few races last year with you, I believe, right? And then I think we watched old races together, and then I watched a few of the races and was like texting you during the races.
Right.
So this is gonna be more of like a weird pick for me because it's just like I don't know who to pick. I'm going with Kyle Busch, especially since it doesn't count for points. He's been pretty decent as of lately. I mean, he's come out of nowhere. He's kind of shown that there are other cars on the grid that have the fight to take down Hendrick, but it's the fact that you have to get past the two in front rather than being ahead of the two in the back. So,
right.
As we saw with his last finish, not this past race, but the one before, he split the 400 cars, came in third, and then split Byron and Bowman off. So, I mean, it'll be nice to see if he can kind of turn around the season and maybe make it not so Hendrick dominated.
Hey, man, we don't want that because I need that 48 car to get some wins, man.
Hey, I mean, I'm not against the Hendrick domination, but I'm talking for, other teams' sakes. But
yeah. I got you.
Yeah, but again, since it won't count for points, Kyle Busch, I feel like that's a pretty decent pick.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So we're going to go into our question segment. We got 3 questions. So there is one that we seen on Reddit, a post that we'll talk about, and then we'll talk, who is the better driver between Larson and Chase, and then a hypothetical about a new manufacturer. So we'll get into the quality equipment question. So for the first time being in about the same equipment, we know Chip Ganassi is less equipment or less quality equipment than Hendrick. First time being in same equipment, it looks like Larson's the way better driver than Elliott. So our question was, do you think Larson is a better driver than Chase Elliott?
A great question. I mean, he's kind of proving it to us. I can't lie.
Right.
Chase hasn't been having the best year, sure. I mean, he does have a win. It's kind of where we expected it on a road course. But I don't know. Larson in quality equipment has become a quality driver. So I'm going to argue, at least right now, yes, that he is the better driver.
I'm going to say, overall, yes, I think Larson is maybe one of the top, like, talent, like, one of the most talented drivers right now on the wheel, like, no matter what they're driving. I mean, he could basically get anything, and he's just fast. He's got that raw speed that you kind of look for in a driver and stuff. I think he's one of the most talented race car drivers, maybe right now. So I think he is better than Chase Elliott, but I'm not saying Chase Elliott is a scrub or anything. He's not. He's proven that, last couple years. But I think, right now, Kyle Larson, I mean, he's winning in dirt. He could race a lawnmower and probably win. So I think Kyle Larson is the better driver than Chase Elliott. All right, question 2. If a new manufacturer came in the sport, what manufacturer would be, and what team would join that manufacturer? So, 2-part question. I'll answer first in the first part. If a new manufacturer came in the sport, let's think about like this realistically. I've heard like rumors about Volkswagen. Honda pulling out of F1?
Yes.
So it's not going to be Honda because they're pulling out of motorsports because they're trying to move towards like cleaner energy cars or hydrogen powered cars or electric in like 10 years or so. So it's not going to be Honda. We already have Chevy and Ford and Toyota in. Dodge has a new CEO with like the Fiat Corp, so it's really like if Fiat decides Dodge wants to come back, do we really know is Fiat interested? Volkswagen has expressed some interest in it, or I've heard rumors about that they've been talking to Volkswagen or whatever. I think if one manufacturer would join, I'm just gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna say maybe Kia. I know you're like Kia, get that out of here. I think that's maybe the most realistic option if we really look at it. Because if you just look at the different manufacturers, like no one's really expressed real interest in NASCAR, and I think I'm just going off a limb. I think Kia. I'm not saying they're gonna join like anytime soon or even at all. I'd just say if I had to put money, like there's gonna be a new manufacturer, I think maybe Kia or Volkswagen really, if you look at it objectively. And then what team would join that manufacturer? It's hard to say really, because you would think what's Richard Petty doing really, like with Chevy, but can you see the 43 car on a Kia? No. Honestly, no. Maybe JTG Dougherty, maybe them, or Chip Ganassi. I mean, he wasn't the factory team for Dodge, but he got a lot of Dodge support, so maybe he would switch manufacturers. That would be maybe the two, I would think, or maybe a new team or something. But yeah, I'm just gonna go off a limb or maybe a feeling, say Kia. I think maybe Kia would be interested. I mean, I don't even know if they're really interested, but I'd say Kia, and then maybe JTG or maybe Spire or something, Chip Ganassi or something like that. I'm not saying for sure Kia's joining, but that's, if I had to put money on it, that's what I would guess.
Very interesting. Now, I'm not going to go out there and say, I know exactly which teams would join which either. So don't feel bad about that. Like, you know more than I do, and that's pretty obvious. I even listening to you, I was just kind of like, okay, well, yeah, there's that team, but I'm personally not sure of any team that would leave the current car that they're in because of whatever reason.
Well, if they get like a whole bunch of factory support,
right? Obviously, that would be different.
Yeah, they're getting with this question, I'm basically asking, like with the new manufacturers, like they're giving a Toyota level amounts of money to like a team. Okay. What team hypothetically that would be? It's not saying
So
like for sure they're gonna switch. What team you'd be like, maybe like this team or whatever.
right. So my thought would be, right, I don't think that, or at least I don't know that Dodge would come back because I don't know their plans for the future. If Pontiac was still making cars, I would say that there would be a chance for them to come back, but they wouldn't have a ton of money nowadays, I don't think. Um, my eyes were kind of on when I looked up, like prior manufacturers in NASCAR, manufacturers without teams currently in motorsports. The manufacturer that I was eyeing was BMW. And I know as of last year, there was actually a rumor going around that they might join. And I know they didn't, and they kind of stopped talks of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't heard of a BMW team since BMW Sauber in F1, which was quite a while ago.
Right.
So I think, not to say like, Kia's not going to do it, but I think if anything's likely, I feel like BMW might be coming back. But also, to touch on Honda, I believe that they are. There's a possibility they might switch over to IndyCar instead of F1.
Right.
I don't know the reason behind it. I just know that they're kind of throwing it over. I don't know if it's that they don't want to sponsor the team that they're currently sponsoring or what. But yeah, I'm BMW. I don't see why there wouldn't be a reason why they'd want to come back into motorsports. The Sauber team that they had wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't terrible. They had decent drivers. They weren't last on the grid every year.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be fun to have BMW come back to motorsports. And then as for the team, the only team that I could... I don't know why. The only team that I could really see moving over to BMW would be Roush. And that's if Newman were to have stayed. Or if he could stay.
I think if Jack Roush is still alive, he's going to always be Ford.
You think so?
Yeah, they always have.
Okay. I just, like I said before I even started talking about it, I don't know a team that would switch.
Right. No,
So
I get it.
that's just kind of me spitballing and throwing something out there. But yeah, for the teams, I mean, you'd probably know better than I would.
Right. So we got an interesting development.
Okay.
Anyway, so we're going to ignore the last question because it's a ridiculous Reddit thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, because the question was basically on Reddit. I saw this post that was saying, "Is Kyle Larson the new age Jeff Gordon in the making?" Ha. Anyways, I think he's talented. I'm just gonna spend a little bit on it. I think he's talented, but Jeff Gordon was so dominant, like in the 90s especially. Like, I know I'm younger, but I've seen Jeff Gordon's dominance in the 90s. I watched those old seasons. He literally won 33 races in like 3-year period. That's not happening. Like, Larson's not getting anywhere close to 93 wins. So, no, he's not. I mean, he has a hot streak right now. Perfect example. Like, Carl Edwards had an 8-win season in 2008, and everyone's like going wild. And then, he didn't get anywhere close to like 50 or even wins. So, Kyle Larson has like 8-9 wins right now on his resume. He's having a good season. I'm not saying he can't have like good seasons to continue, because he will most likely. I don't think he's Jeff Gordon right now. Anyways, the development. So, Justin Marks, the co-owner of Trackhouse Racing, the Race 99 team, they joined Sirius XM NASCAR and talking to Dave Moody about the possibility of having 2 cars in 2022. A quote from Justin Marks: "A 2-car team in 2022 is very much in the picture. So we have to speculate on this. Trackhouse Racing expands to, let's say, 2 teams. Who would they even pick? Who would be their driver?
Maybe they're going for a development driver. Or somebody in Xfinity, you know? I don't know why they would do that. If they're going to open up a whole new car. I mean, they could. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, maybe they're looking to pick up somebody that's falling off of a contract. Somebody that's losing their seat this year. Or they're just, you know, they open up a new car, have somebody be like, hey, you want to switch over to our car? We might be able to provide you with something. I don't know.
I think I have a kind of a pick.
You do?
Okay, so hear me out on this. So,
okay.
I mean, it is like there is a guy who could be coming off a contract right now who's a veteran of the sport. He could be losing his ride to another driver. He's an older statesman of the sport. He's got an engineering degree. You know, this team's kind of, you know, unique, like how they think and stuff. Like different, like Trackhouse is usually putting the smart people with the smart people together, trying to get like the STEM program and stuff. Like they really want to emphasize like on STEM. And this guy is probably one of the smartest men in the garage right now that's driving. And he's going to be off a contract. Why don't they bring in Ryan Newman to like start off that team? They'll get, outside sponsorship. And then Ryan Newman, you know, went to college, has an engineering degree, so he can help even on the STEM program with the team. He can become a team employee maybe after the year of driving. Like he gives 1 year with the new car, the new team, you know, kind of sets the ground floor, and then maybe they get a development driver in Xfinity. They are RCR team, maybe like a Myatt Snyder or something after Newman retires. Like gives them 1 more year. And if Brad's going to take the 6th car, then Newman's going to be out of a car, so maybe Newman gives it 1 year in the new car. Then he kind of becomes a crew chief or a car chief or a lead engineer, and then he can help out with the STEM program initiative that the team is striving for. So I think maybe Ryan Newman.
It's not a bad pick.
I mean, like,
where else would he go?
Right, like, I don't think he would go to.
You just think he would flat out retire? I mean, there's a chance, but
he still wants to drive, so he
right. Why would he?
You know, he could set the groundwork for the new team. They got already a solid base with the 99 right now. So
and then another thing that we talked about before, we talked about in a previous episode, was with 2311 possibly getting the new car with Kurt Busch. Which, I mean,
there's going to be a lot of, like,
it's going to be a shake-up season.
Okay, so this is the teams confirmed that we want, like, so Trackhouse is now saying they want another car, so that's 1 more car. 2311 wants another car, that's 2 more cars, so we got 2 new cars already wanting. Colleague said they want to join the Cup Series, so that's another car, 3 cars, 3 new cars. Junior Motorsports have talked about moving up, it's 4 more cars. So where are they going to get these charters? Are they going to run as open teams? Or, like, they already said, like, Denny Hamlin's like, I'll run as an open team. It looks like Justin Marks isn't really worried about charters. Colleague has talked about running without a charter. Junior Motorsports has been more or less quiet about it. But, I mean, right there's 4 new teams. So, you know, are they going to fill the open spots? Or, you know, is a team right now gonna get, you know, cut? Maybe I don't know, maybe some Rick Ware or something, like, gonna get cut down, and we have 4 new competitive teams. It's always a possibility. And then what happens with the 37 car? They don't have funding for the rest of the year, so does next year's JTG just downsize to one car? So it's kind of, it's going to be interesting with this new car, like how many new owners and team we're going to have. Because we already know confirmed Kaulig's going to run next year, like the full season. They already said as much.
Mm-hmm.
We're not saying, Justin Marks just said he wants to and his eyes are set on it, but we're not for sure. We know 2311 is almost like 100% confirmed that they're going to run the next car next year, but it hasn't been 100% confirmed. And then Junior Motorsports is talking about moving up, but it's nothing near close confirmed. So I guess we'll see, how it's going to be a silly season for the ages, man. If all these new teams come to fruition and, what happens with driver shakeups and stuff like that. New car, everyone's on the even playing field. Next year's going to be wild, man.
Very wild. It's kind of like an NFL offseason.
Yeah, it is for sure a silly season.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Anyways, so we got to get in some news this week. So some real news. Greg Irwin, crew chief of the 21 car, has been with the Wood Brothers last couple of years. Used to be with Roush and Greg Biffle, so the two Gregs. Has some Cup Series wins, veteran of the sport. He is out on the 21 car. They were 17th in points, about 60 points out of the playoffs. So not the greatest season from DiBenedetto. So they're getting rid of Greg Irwin, and then they're replacing it with Team Penske engineer Jonathan Hassler. He did crew chief one race this year when Greg Irwin was out with COVID. It was Martinsville, and DiBenedetto finished 12th. So maybe that pairing will, make them run better, because they've been running, real up and down. They had a nice stretch about a month ago where they had 3 straight top 10s. But it's been really rocky since, and even at the start of the season. So hopefully DiBenedetto can get some momentum, maybe make a push to the playoffs. So we'll see about that, how Benedetto finishes the rest of the year. And then, so there's a rumor going around that Jeff Gordon might be looking outside of the broadcast booth and maybe taking a role with Hendrick. So this has always been kind of in the works, that Jeff Gordon would take some part of ownership or even total control of Hendrick Motorsports. That's always been kind of generally known. If Jeff's next in line, But this is probably, one of the first times they've talked about it. That's been openly talked about, coming from Jeff Gordon. We know that he's always been, interested in stuff, but now he's looking really at his options. So we're going to first talk about what that would mean for the broadcast booth. So they would be down to 2. They would be Mike Joy and Clint Boyer. Do you think they would just stick with 2? Or, would they add another person in? Or would they just stick with the 2?
It'd be interesting to see the 2. That's 2 good characters you have right there.
Right.
But yikes. I could see them trying to fill the role.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, they want as much as they can get. Maybe put another, not Jeff Gordon, obviously, not another person like Jeff Gordon, but maybe somebody with a different personality. So bring a completely different personality into the booth and kind of cover all the spectrum. I don't know.
I don't even know who Fox would bring in.
Right. I really honestly think that it would be interesting with just the 2 of them.
I don't know I don't think it would really work, to be honest.
It might not.
If I was Fox, I think a 3-person booth would be the best, because I don't know if Joy and Boyer, that would be real goofy. I don't think Larry McReynolds wants to do it, really.
Right.
He's kind of good with those, Larry trends of the race and stuff.
But you can't take those away from the guy.
Right. Not Vince Wells. No, he's an announcer for trucks. He is terrible. If you haven't heard Vince Welsh, just look up his Ross Chastain call, and it's so awkward. Like, it's even more awkward than us on these podcasts. Like, it's terrible. Brian, you could literally talk from your house better than Vince Welsh.
Oh boy.
Jamie Little starting to do ARCA broadcasts. She is nowhere near ready. She is literally her first season, so I wouldn't put Jamie Little. Alex Alexander has been he's decent at Xfinity, but I think I would maybe I would try Jamie McMurray. I think he's like hopped in on some guest broadcast and stuff, some driver broadcast and stuff, and he's been pretty solid. I would think maybe they would bring Jamie McMurray, maybe kind of groom him to like Joy's role, like if he could be a play-by-play. I don't know if Jamie would have it, but Mike Joy is in his 70s now, so they gotta figure out his heir apparent, like who's that gonna be.
Right.
So maybe they can groom maybe Jamie McMurray next couple years, and maybe he could be a good play-by-play announcer. He was a good color commentator, I thought, during this like driver stuff, like driver broadcasts and stuff. I don't know. I think Jamie and Boyer would have some good chemistry too. Like right now with Clint and Jeff, it's not like they don't have like good chemistry. It's kind of goofy sometimes. They're just trying to make each other laugh like little schoolgirls, I think. So I think maybe Jamie can bring a unique element. I think that might be Fox's best option, really. I mean, I don't really see any like heir apparent to Mike Joy. So,
and to kind of touch on what you're saying, I have a feeling that if they did bring him in, they would kind of play him into the Jeff Gordon role for like a year, kind of get him used to being in the booth with them. Mm-hmm. And then as time goes on, they might be like, here, you want to try announcing a race? And then that's kind of like where they're like, all right, Mike, whenever you're ready, we're going to go ahead and replace you. But then at that point, they got to bring another person in, which is, that's going to be interesting too. Yeah. Just like you said, that's probably the best guess would be McMurray. And
yeah, I think
it'd be interesting to see how he works with Clint Boyer and Mike Joy.
Yeah, it would definitely be interesting to see how that whole dynamic is, but yeah, I guess that's it, pretty much.
Yeah, we already went over the All-Star race, went over Sonoma.
Yeah, so, guess that's it. So, thank you guys for listening. Another podcast down. So, we'll be next week to review All-Star race. I mean, there might not be a whole lot to review, but we're still going to review it, because then we got to preview NBC's Nashville Super Speedway. So, new track. We haven't been down here in 10 years in the Xfinity series. So, it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. So, anyways, guys, thanks for listening to another podcast. We appreciate all the fans that have been listening and download and rating. We'll really appreciate it. Follow us on our social media handles. Racing Bros Podcast on Instagram, and then on Twitter, Racing Bros Pod C1. Follow us there, and then you can see our personal Twitters, and follow us there if you want. But anyways, guys, thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks, Brian, for joining along for another episode.
Thanks for having me as always, and everybody take care.
Have a good one, guys. We'll see you next week.